We all know Jim Carrey, the rubber-faced king of comedy who made the world laugh with The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, Liar Liar, and Ace Ventura. But behind the laughter is a story you probably haven't heard. A story of homelessness, heartbreak, spiritual awakening, and a bizarre moment involving a $10 million check he wrote to himself while living in a van. This is not just a story about fame. Behind every laugh he gave us, there was a silence. Behind every outrageous face, there was a mask. This is not the Jim Carrey you think you know. This is the part of his story we never got to see. This is the untold story of Jim Carrey. This is Seen Unseen. Before the lights, before the limelights, Jim Carrey lived in shadows. Before the fame, before the fortune, Jim Carrey was homeless. At just 12, his family hit rock bottom when his father lost his job. They moved into a beat-up Volkswagen van parked on a relative's lawn. Jim dropped out of school at the age of 16. To help and support his family, Jim worked as a janitor. Every night after scrubbing floors, he would practice impressions in the mirror. That van, it was not just a shelter, it was his first stage. He later said those times were miserable but essential. On those long, lonely nights, Jim was not dreaming of being a comedian, he was becoming one.
This young man is a young impressionist from Toronto and a little bit different. Reitman, this is his first appearance on American television. Would you welcome Jim Carrey? Jim?
In 1985, broke and frustrated Jim Carrey drove to Mulholland Drive in Los Angeles and he did something strange. He wrote himself a check of $10 million for acting services rendered and dated it for Thanksgiving 1995. And he kept that check in his wallet. Then he would visualize receiving such kind of a check every day. He would dream about it. And guess what? In 1994, just an year before that date on the check, he got cast in Dumb and Dumber for exactly $10 million.
So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that you did. Is that true?
I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years. And I dated it Thanksgiving 1995. And I put it in my wallet, and I kept it there, and it deteriorated and stuff. But then, just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million on, I think it was Dumb and Dumber, maybe.
Dumb and Dumber, yeah. So you visualize yourself like... Visualization works if you work hard.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. You can't just visualize and then, go eat a sandwich.
But just as his star was rising, tragedy struck. Jim's beloved father passed away. At his funeral, Jim slipped that old $10 million check into his father's casket. It was his way of saying, "We did it, Dad." This was a pivotal moment. This made Jim Carrey question everything: fame, success, and even reality itself. He later said that check was a promise and I kept it. But it also made him question, what's all this worth if the people you love are not there to see it? Then, at the peak of his fame and career, Jim Carrey vanished. No scandals, no farewells. He simply walked away. In the late 2000s, Jim Carrey began to disappear from Hollywood films, but not from his life. What followed was a philosophical awakening that baffled his fans. Interviews turned surreal. He dove into philosophy, spirituality, and quantum theory. His interviews took a turn. They were deeper and more cryptic. There is no me, he would say. There are just things happening. Some called it a breakdown and others called it an awakening. Jim had begun to question the very fabric of identity. He was not the characters he played, not the man on the magazine covers, just consciousness watching the show.
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream?
There's just things happening. And there are clusters of tetrahedrons moving around together.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's happening in our world right now? Because there is a lot of news that actually is relevant that's not that
Here's
uplifting.
the thing. It's not our world.
None
That's
of this
the
is
key.
real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
Oh, wow.
There's the good news.
Okay.
Jim had started painting, writing, and delivering powerful speeches. One of the most viral was a college commencement where he said, "You might fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance and do what you love."
I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
Many people don't know this, but Jim Carrey is now an accomplished painter and a sculptor. His studio is filled with massive emotional pieces, some vibrant, some disturbing, all raw.
The energy that surrounds Jesus is electric. I don't know if Jesus is real. I don't know if he lived. I don't know what he means, but the paintings of Jesus are really my desire to convey Christ consciousness. I wanted you to have the feeling when you looked in his eyes that he was accepting of who you are. I wanted him to be able to stare at you and heal you from the painting. You can find every race in the face of Jesus. And I think that's how every race imagines Jesus. They imagine him as their own.
Jim Carrey once said, "I don't need the world to tell me who I am. I create who I am." And then came one of the strongest chapters of his career, Man on the Moon. Jim Carrey didn't play Andy Kaufman, he became him. He became Andy Kaufman so much so that the cast and crew were disturbed. He stayed in the character on and off camera. He lived as Andy on set and even at home. He wouldn't break the character for months.
When I heard I had the part, I was looking at the ocean, and that's the moment when Andy came back to make his movie.
Hello.
What happened after was out of my control.
Andy, that's enough. Perfect.
I don't like it. I want to do one more. I got it.
And this crazy melodrama started happening all over the place. It was necessary to stay in the character.
Andy, you have to give me a chance to make a movie.
I don't need to make a movie. I don't need to make a movie.
I was thinking, how far should I take this? How far would Andy take it?
Years later, Jim confessed, "At some point, I lost Jim Carrey. I became someone else completely." Andy Kaufman taught me that you could create your own universe and you don't have to be a character in someone else's story. Jim Carrey's greatest performance is not a movie role, it's his life, lived fully, painfully, authentically, not to impress, but to express. Jim Carrey's greatest role might not be Ace Ventura or Truman Burbank, it might be himself. It's the man he became when no one was watching, a seeker, a creator, a mirror to our own illusions, a man unafraid to lose everything to find the truth, a comedian who made the world laugh and then made it think. Today, Jim Carrey is an artist, a thinker, a recluse, and still a performer, but on his own terms. He is a living reminder that comedy often comes from pain, and sometimes the best performance happen off the stage. We saw the mask, we laughed at the faces, and maybe now we might have got a glimpse at the man behind it all. This was seen unseen.
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Please welcome two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey.
Thank you. I am two-time Golden Globe winner Jim Carrey.
If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and share it with your friends. Subscribe the channel for more videos. I will see you in the next episode.